In sales, we have this thing called the war room. It's where leaders and teams meet to strategize on how to win the deal. And then we leave the room and execute on the strategy. The term war room, and I know some of you pronounce it room. I'm from Boston, so I say room. The term war room comes from the military and refers to the place where the battles are planned. It's where the generals and teams meet to strategize on how to win the war. 10 years ago, I worked for a company that held the most epic war rooms, and I was one of the generals. I led our teams to top performances year over year, and I won a lot. I was so successful and committed at this job that I don't even mind bragging a little. So committed that when I was 9 months pregnant with my first child, I was working a big deal, and my water broke 10 days early. I panicked, not about myself or my baby, but about work. So instead of going to the hospital, I sat at my computer for 2 hours, finishing a proposal and sending emails, just to make sure I didn't drop the ball. In the book, The Art of War, Sun Tzu said, "All warfare is deception." At the time, I thought I was winning, but I wasn't. I was losing. My health was losing, my husband was losing, even my unborn baby was losing. But I didn't see it yet. It was a blind spot. I went on like this, winning, for 4 more years. Then when my daughter was 4 and my son was 2, I was at a client lunch with some of my top customers. And suddenly, I lost complete feeling in both of my legs. I spent the next 2 days at the hospital with doctors trying to find the cause of my symptoms. In the end, they couldn't find anything physically wrong with me. They said what I was experiencing was most likely a stress response. A stress response? What in the world is a stress response? Well, it was just another way of saying I was completely burnt out. But back then, nobody talked about burnout. At the time, my stress response fit in this category of things we hide from others and pretend aren't happening. It was in this moment that I realized I was living in a war room. And today, I'm going to share with you a shockingly simple tool that I developed to shift out of the war room and into the win room. A tool that has changed my life. And let me explain what I mean. I want you to think for a second about your favorite room in your home. For me, at the time, it was my home office. I wanted it to feel calm. So much so that I painted the walls the color Benjamin Moore calm. I put my diplomas on the walls to remind me of my accomplishments, pictures of my kids on my desk to remind me of why I work, inspirational quotes all around me to keep me motivated. I designed every square inch of it. What I realized was that none of these details mattered, because the room I was spending the most time in was a room I was completely ignoring. The room I was spending the most time in was a room in my head. I was living in a war room in my head, and I was in this constant battle with myself. Now, I would never let someone with big muddy boots stomp through my home office or mess with the pictures of my kids. I'd kick them out immediately. But I was allowing people with big muddy boots to stomp through my mind all day long. So on the outside, I looked like I was winning. But on the inside, I was empty. See, living in a war room feels like you're working against results 24/7. You know that feeling when it's like this battle between your ears? When you overcommit and then you overthink and feel overwhelmed? And then it's like you're trapped, like you can't breathe? That's the war room. But what I realized was I didn't have to live this way. I figured out a way to shift out of my war room at any moment, and so can you. I'm going to show you how. See, each of us have a war room and a win room in our heads all the time. Our war room is the place that stands for working against results. It's where we doubt ourselves. It's where we have this constant stream of criticism. It's where we focus on our weaknesses. It's where we have no boundaries and we isolate. Our win room is where we focus on what I need. It's where we're clear on our values, our strengths. We have boundaries. We know what our goals are. Our war room walls are covered with words like, you can't, you are not good enough, nobody likes you. Our win room walls are covered with words like, you got this, I believe in you, you can do anything. So the question you might be asking yourself right now is, Jamie, how do I switch rooms? Well, it's not easy, but it's simple. It's as simple as making a choice. See, all of our strength, wisdom, and potential is already in our win room. We just have to choose to step into it. After spending the last 7 years practicing these techniques myself and teaching them to thousands of others, I'm going to share them with you now. See, there are 3 places where we get trapped and held prisoner in our war room. The first trap, head trash. The stories we hold on to. In our war room, we allow other people's stories to ambush us. Like, I could have 99 people tell me that I am doing awesome. But who takes up all the space in my head? The kid from the 5th grade who said I wasn't smart. Or the boss from 15 years ago who said I wasn't good enough to be promoted. This is head trash. And in our war room, we adopt these stories from others as our own. And just like big muddy boots, they stomp through our mind all day long. But when we choose to step into our win room, these stories can't get past the door. Because in our win room, we see these stories differently. We notice them, we challenge them, and we don't take them as true. For example, the other day, I was in a conversation with someone, and they were sort of inferring that because I don't cook for my kids, that I'm not a good mom. I noticed the head trash immediately. I caught it, and then I thought to myself, oh, Jamie, that's just their story. Trust me, my kids do not want me cooking for them. Besides, I'm really good at ordering takeout. See, head trash can't survive in my win room. A hack that I use when I start to feel a little bit of head trash creeping in is that I wear an elastic on my wrist as a bracelet. And when I start to feel the head trash, I snap it to snap out of it and back into my win room. It's as simple as that. The second place where we get trapped and held prisoner in our war room, lack of clarity. With all the people that I coach, everyone is super clear about what they don't want. Crystal clear that their boss is terrible, they don't have enough money, or their family isn't supportive. But then when I ask them, well, what do you want? They stare at me like a deer in headlights. Because the truth is that most people don't actually know what they want, specifically. They may say something like, I just want to be happy, or I just want to feel appreciated. Well, that's like jumping in a taxi and saying, I just want to go somewhere. It's the same thing in our lives when we don't have a direction, we don't have a finish line, and we just keep running in circles. In our win room, we get clear on what I call our real AI. Not the AI you're thinking, but our aim and our intention. In our win room, we are clear about the life we are aiming at. and we are intentional in why we want it. In our win room, we get super specific and we start to think about questions like, what would an ideal relationship look like? How much money is enough? What would a meaningful and successful career be for me? We get super specific and we write it down. And once we do that, we have the clarity and confidence to stay grounded in our win room. And remember, the win room is always there. We just have to remember to choose to step back into it. The third place where we get trapped and held prisoner in our war room: comparison. The other day, I was on social, and I saw that a friend had just finished running a marathon. And I'm sitting on my couch eating cookies, and I think to myself, maybe I should run a marathon. And then I remember, I don't want to run a marathon. I've never wanted to run a marathon. I don't even like running. But for this moment, I caught myself comparing to my friend who likes to run marathons. Can anyone relate? Then I reminded myself that that type of thinking only happens in my war room. I snapped out of it, went back into my win room, and reminded myself, I'm already running my own marathon. My marathon is my husband, my 2 kids, doing yoga, running a business, preparing for a TEDx. And here's the deal. These people you're comparing yourself to, they're all in their own war rooms, making it up. And the biggest place where they're making it up is on social media, because that's where you see their highlight reel, not their real reel. You never see them at the beginning. You only see the picture that makes them look skinny, or the family photo that doesn't look like they just had a huge fight 20 seconds before. You only see what they want you to see. And I want to remind you, it's not real. None of it is. In our win room, we do not compare ourselves to others. In our win room, we run our own marathons. Now, beyond these 3 things, there's one tool that supercharges everything that I just shared with you. It takes every part of your life, from the war room to the win room. Are you ready? Who are you spending your time with? Are you surrounding yourself with people who celebrate you or deplete you? In the war room, we surround ourselves with people who drain us. To win, we need positive people around us, because there are not enough therapists to go around. And the truth is, the war room never goes away. It's always there. We just stop giving it oxygen. It's this constant practice of noticing and shifting back to our win room over and over again, okay? And the reason why it's so important for us to have positive people around us, people that are going in the same direction as us. Because when the war starts raging in our heads and we think we can't do it, we need these people around us to support us and help us across the finish line. These people become our win team. And here's the counterintuitive part of everything I just shared with you. We are conditioned to think we can win at war. We are taught that we just have to be better than the next person, or better than we were before. But the exact opposite is true. No one wins at war. In the win room, we have far more success than we ever have in the war room. In the win room, we win, our families win, our businesses win. The win room is a shift in the whole way we do life. And again, it's just a choice. When we choose to step into our win room, we unlock the door to the winning version of ourselves. And once we are there, everything is possible. Thank you.